Ajibintu Drame, and this is QTV Midday News coming to you live from our studios on Keraba Avenue, and thanks for joining us. Our top stories. President Barrow on Tuesday afternoon set off on his election campaign tour, starting at the North Bank region. Earlier in the day, a delegation of International IDEA met President Barrow at the State House as part of an initiative to work on a code of conduct for the presidential candidates for the December election. The Gambia's Minister of Environment has stressed the need for least developed countries to have access to finance to combat climate change at the ongoing COP26 in Glasgow. We will hear from our reporter, Jennifer Sonko, who is attending the summit. The Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation and stakeholders held a validation forum on Tuesday to finalize the Strategic Plan 2022-2026 document. In sports, we will hear from our reporter, Mobutu Gajaga, who is with the Gambia women's volleyball team in Dubai, on how impressive the training facilities are. Those are our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Now, President Barrow on Tuesday afternoon set off on his election campaign tour, starting at the North Bank region. The incumbent president and the presidential candidate of the National People's Party is seeking re-election in December. Aliou Cisse reports.
President Adama Barrow is accompanied on the campaign tour by party supporters and coalition partners. He left Banjul on Tuesday afternoon and was seen off by a crowd of Banjulians, including religious leaders at the ferry terminal. On the North Bank side, the scene was similar as hundreds received the NPP candidate. The Gambia will vote for a president on December 4th, where President Adama Barrow, the incumbent and candidate of the National People's Party, is seeking re-election. He is being challenged by 5 other candidates: the United Democratic Party leader Usainu Dabo, GDC's Mama Kande, PDY's Khalifa Abubakar Saleh, National Unity Party Abdoulaye Jammeh, and Esambay Fall, an independent candidate. The President's Party, NPP, is backed by more than 4 political parties and 4 presidential aspirants who withdrew or were ruled ineligible by the IEC, hence what they are calling the Grand Coalition. The electoral system in the Gambia is first past the post system, in which a candidate getting a simple majority of votes wins. Over 900,000 eligible voters have been registered by the Independent Electoral Commission to cast their ballots across the country in the upcoming election. Unlike the previous elections, for the first time in more than 2 decades, Gambians will campaign and vote in a much more democratic space. Supporters of NPP and the President are confident of a landslide victory in what they called the achievements registered in the last 4 years of the Barrow administration.
We are expecting very, very good reception. I think that has been proven on the day of the nomination, that NPP-led coalition is a force to reckon with. But I seize this opportunity to thank everybody for the support for the 4 years, and I call on Gambians to continue supporting us for security and stability and economic growth and development. Thank you.
President Barrow was elected in 2016 in his first run for the highest office in the land, ending the 20-year rule of former President Yahya Jammeh. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
A delegation of International IDEA on Tuesday met President Barrow at the State House in Banjul as part of an initiative to work on a code of conduct for the presidential candidates for the December election. The delegation is led by Mohamed Ibn Chambers, former UN Secretary General Special Representative for West Africa and the Sahel. He spoke to QTV's Aliou Cisse shortly after the meeting, and here is an excerpt.
I took the opportunity to congratulate him on his approval by the IEC as candidate for his party, the MPP. We will have the opportunity to meet the other candidates and to congratulate them also. So far, we are very pleased with the manner in which the electoral process is unfolding here in the Gambia. It has been largely peaceful. The process has been adjudged to be credible, and although there were so many candidates vying to lead their parties or as independents, 6 have been selected, and they will be the ones that the Gambians will have the opportunity to choose their president on December 4th. It is our effort here to have a code of conduct signed, principally to commit candidates to engage in peaceful campaign, to avoid hate speech, and any language actions likely to incite violence. We hope that campaigns will focus on programs, policies, what candidates intend to do for Gambian people for the development of the Gambia, and not campaign of invectives, of insults, of abuse. So therefore, on the 11th, that is Thursday the 11th, there will be a signing ceremony by candidates, their representatives, to commit to a process that will make Gambians proud once again that Gambia will deliver credible and peaceful elections devoid of any violence.
Moving on, climate finance was top of the agenda at the least developed countries ministerial briefing at the ongoing COP26. As Jada Bosonko reports from Glasgow, the briefing was attended by the Gambia's Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Water Resources, Lamin B. Diba, who stressed the need for LDCs to have access to finance to combat climate change.
Least developed countries are paying for climate consequences they least contribute to. At the least developed countries ministerial briefing, LDCs negotiate as a bloc to develop a common position and common interests. Areas discussed included damage and loss, adaptation, common time frame, and finance, with finance standing out amongst the areas discussed.
We have other points where we are still pushing, that is loss and damage, as part of the financing mechanism to support least developed countries and developing countries to finance the loss and damage. Let me give you a typical example from home. When this, on the 7th of July, disaster happened, particularly in the northern bank of the country, people are still suffering. So that we do not have a specific finance from our corresponding developed countries to finance this kind of. So these are the kind of things that we are looking forward to be part of a regular supporting to least developed countries so that we can fight.
Isato F. Kamara from the Ministry of Finance, who is here to negotiate climate financing, highlighted that more resources are directed towards mitigation while adaptation is the priority for least developed nations.
These resources towards adaptation are not forthcoming. So we are here fighting very well to ensure that we have more resources towards adaptation. And these resources, to be very specific, it needs to be grant-based, because right now, if you look at most of the developing countries or least developed countries, we have debt burden and we have debt distress in our countries. So it's important that we have grant-based resources towards adaptation.
The UK has announced new funding to the tune £290 million to support African governments to roll out critical adaptation projects so at-risk communities can adapt to the impact of extreme weather and changing climates. According to the World Bank, climate change could reduce GDP by 6% in many African countries by 2050, with up to 132 million people being pushed into extreme poverty by 2030.
Well, for UK, as a president of the COP, I think they have allocated more resources, and this is welcoming, and this is what we expect of all developed countries, not actually reaching the target that they have set, but at least something must be available. And I am also part of those advocating that they are saying 2025, the support 2025. We need this support yesterday, not even today. The support is immediate, and we cannot wait for 2025. We have so many important targets for 2025. For instance, you look at the Gambia, our NDC is the best NDC in the world.
We have now entered week 2 of the COP26, and Boris Johnson is asking countries to make bold compromises. It is also important to note that the fossil fuel industry is the largest delegation in the COP26. But the big question is, will that change the narrative? Stay tuned on QTV for COP26 updates. I am Jana Wasonko reporting from Glasgow, UK. This broadcast is proudly sponsored by SN Brussels.
And from that story, we will go for a short commercial break. Still to come, we have more stories, too. Stay tuned.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Now, following a successful participatory review of the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation Strategic Plan 2022-2026, the corporation stakeholder held a validation forum on Tuesday to finalize the document. Omar P. Jallo was there and he filed in this report.
This is the first strategic plan since the corporation's inception in 1981. The document outlines the strategic vision and goals that the corporation and other stakeholders have identified to help it realize its full potential and better fulfill its mandate and vision to serve its membership and stakeholders. Abdullahi Tambedu, the Managing Director of Social Security, said the process of formulating a new strategic plan have given them the opportunity to take stock of the past successes and shortcomings, which has determined their vision and future goals. It will also be an active driver and ensure social protection, social shelter delivery, and prudent investment of members' funds.
Our strategies aim to offer value to our members by strengthening investment management for long-term growth and sustainability, improve internal service delivery processes, strengthen the corporate governance processes, provide affordable and sustainable shelter, strengthening the performance management systems, and enhancing the corporate image of the corporation and that of the country, the Gambia, as a whole.
The strategic plan is prepared by BJM Management Consultancy. Its Managing Director, Bakari Marong, said the strategic plan represents the concerted efforts of the corporation's stakeholders, whose input during the process of consultation and drafting of the strategic plan has been incorporated in the document.
It's important, I think we all interacted with the process, but I think it's also important we do not conclude the process without getting you here in one room to actually look at what we've put together. And I think with BJM, our philosophy is usually being with the client from design to implementation and beyond. And that way we are all convinced that we can deliver this together and take responsibility for its results.
Oremi Joyner, the Chairman Board of Directors of Social Security, said as a major parastatal mandated to offer social protection for members, they will continue to engage their membership, not only to ensure timely contribution collections and benefit payments, but also increase the quality and size of membership.
Because we wanted it to come out from you so that you will be able to monitor, as opposed coming from us to you, which you might disagree with. In retrospect, from the ground up, I believe is very, very important because the ownership is there. What you don't own, you don't care about it. But what you own, you do care about it.
According to officials, the strategic plan will steer the corporation on the path towards maintaining its leadership role in offering the corporation services as mandated by law. The strategic plan was commissioned in response to the need to have a clear vision and structured approach in the execution of the corporation's mandate. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
An annual conference of the Intergovernmental Committee of Senior Officials and Experts for West Africa is on the way at the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center in Bijilo. The theme for this year's conference is leveraging the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to build resilient and sustainable economies in West Africa in a COVID-19 era. Modulamin Choi reports.
The sub-regional annual convergence, which discusses economic and social developments in the sub-region to make policy recommendations for consideration at the joint meeting of Economic Commission for Africa and the African Union. This hybrid conference has representations both physical and virtual from West African states and international organizations, including UN in the Sahel.
We want to put on record that development cannot come on a platter of gold. There must be conscious effort that we plan development process, we budget for it, we fund it, and we achieve development. And you will all agree with me, as a sub-region, we need to work together collaboratively to ensure that we develop our sub-region and we achieve an integrated sub-region where everything will work, infrastructure, where we can connect ourselves with ease, and where we can collectively work together and take our various economies forward.
Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected the continent, discussions will center around its effects on economies and social development in West African countries to identify opportunities for recovery by harnessing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. This ambition is what gave rise to the theme, leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area to build resilient and sustainable economies in West Africa in a COVID-19 era.
Our continent in general, and West Africa in particular, are useful. With an estimated 60% of the population in the 25th year of age, if the large cohort of younger people cannot find decent employment or earn decent income, this will turn into democratic risk, which is a potential source of social discontent and political instability, perpetuating the current challenges faced by the region. Appropriate measures are therefore needed and should be taken very quickly.
The Africa Trade Pact is the second largest in the world after Asia's and connects 1.3 billion people across 53 countries with a combined GDP of $3.5 trillion. The pact came into force in January this year to boost intra-Africa trade, and this meeting is expected to help policy planners identify the strength and resilience of West African economies for a rebound.
The AFCFTA is an important vehicle for realizing the Pan-African vision of regional economic integration and structural transformation of Africa's economy. Thus, when effectively implemented, the AFCFTA has significant potentials to serve as a catalyst for Africa's potential pandemic recovery.
This conference of Intergovernmental Committee of Senior Officials and Experts for West Africa, through a dialogue, are expected to be agents for change by offering solutions to the socio-economic challenges facing the sub-region during a devastating pandemic. Mohamed Lamin Chai, QTV News.
And now in sports, Gambia women's volleyball players having their training camp in Dubai are amazed by the training facilities. Our sports reporter Maud Gajaga watched their training earlier today at the Salahuddin Sports Complex, and this is his report.
Training in good sports facilities can enhance team and individual player performances. The Gambia women's volleyball team took on to the Salahuddin Sports Complex on Tuesday morning for a practice session. Senior player Anna Marie Bojang shares her thoughts on how it feels to train in such a facility.
It's different from Gambia. We have good trainers, our coaches, good quality balls, the net and steppers. We have been working on them, and I am sure when we continue this, we will get to the next level, inshallah.
Gambia's sports facilities, including those for volleyball, are poor. There is no indoor volleyball court, and the outdoor courts in use are in a poor state, often consisting of a bare concrete floor, which is not suitable for hosting proper competitions. Mariama Jingado talks about the difference between playing on a poor ground and a high-quality facility.
lu nekk Gambia ak lu nekk fii dafa different trop bu baax facilities yi fii nii jumping sax boo def sax soo wàccee sax di nga xam ne train bi mu ngi fa waaye Gambia doo am sax fooy dem nga ne yaa ngi jump pour nga am jumping bi su time attack jotee ba pare balls amul Gambia waaye soo ñëwee fii nii every time boo attack doo daw sax dangay taxaw ball bi ñëw fekkaat la foofu noonu.
The Salahuddin Sports Complex in the United Arab Emirates. The Gambia's women's volleyball team training here intensely to better prepare them for future competitions and as they envision to become professional volleyball players. This fantastic facility is host for multi-sports, volleyball, basketball, handball, and that is just a few. For the Gambia sports to progress, such an iconic facility is needed for the Gambia's sports to strive, especially volleyball. Reporting from the United Arab Emirates in Dubai, Mamadou Kajaga for PTV News.
Before we end, here's a recap of our main headlines. President Barrow on Tuesday afternoon set off on his election campaign tour starting at the North Bank region. Earlier in the day, a delegation of International IDEA met President Barrow at the State House as part of an initiative to work on a code of conduct for the presidential candidates for the December election. The Gambia's Minister of Environment has stressed the need for least developed countries to have access to finance to combat climate change at the ongoing COP26 in Glasgow. We heard from our reporter, Jane Abosonko, who is attending the summit. The Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation and Stakeholders held a validation forum on Tuesday to finalize the Strategic Plan 2022-2026 document. And in sports, we heard from our reporter, Mamadou Kajaga, who is with the Gambia women's volleyball team in Dubai, on how impressive the training facilities are. Well, that's it from me in today's Midday News. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.